Put a finger down if you were while being under anesthesia at Vixen Plastic Surgery in Miami. Put another finger down that due to the consistency of your injuries when you checked yourself into the hospital, the medical staff decided to perform a kit on you. Upon the conclusion of their kit, they found in your cervix. Put another finger down if you had to have your uvula removed due to the trauma you experienced in your throat while being under anesthesia.
She went to Miami for a tummy and waist procedure. She came home with the missing piece of her throat, and a story that has more than 2 million people asking the same questions. How does a woman walk into a plastic surgery clinic awake and wake up an hour later to a crime scene? Did a doctor knock out his patient and climb up on top of her, pump inside her, and leave traces of DNA in her? Did he damage the inside of her throat so badly her uvula had to be removed? But what did he put in her throat? Did multiple doctors take turns? And why did the police cover it up? I know what I just said sounds horrible, but I'm making a point about how disgusting this is. Now here I am just reading this, you're listening to me talk about this, but imagine if it happened to you and you lived it. Hello strangers, welcome back to the Strange Bar and Grill. I'm your host, JP. Tonight we'll be pulling apart the case of Miosha Watts, known online as Elegance Monroe, and the Miami surgeon she says turned her surgery into the worst night of her life. Everything you're about to hear is based on her own public statements, on news reporting, and on public state records. As of recording and editing this, Dr. Raul Valladares has not been charged with any crime. He has not publicly responded, so I'm gonna be careful with my words here, because not a lot has been confirmed yet. But I won't hold you any longer. Let's go. Miosha Watts is a married mom from North Florida. She's in her 30s. She had been planning her surgery for a long time. The procedure she wanted is called a lipo 360. It's liposuction that goes around the waist. The doctor takes fat from the belly, the back, and the sides. It's one of the most popular cosmetic surgeries in the country right now. She picked a clinic in Miami called Vixen Plastic Surgery. Vixen is on Northwest 7th Street, near the airport. It's one of those big, flashy Miami clinics that advertises on Instagram and TikTok. It promises you the body you want for a price you can afford. And just a quick note here, in December of 2023, the boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. announced he had bought a piece of 3 Miami plastic surgery clinics. Vixen was one of them. He bragged about it on Instagram. He said, and I quote, "I decided to become an owner and a big boss in the game of plastic surgery. Big celebrity name, bright lights, lots of trust from regular people who saw the ads." Miosha booked her procedure for September 25th of 2025. She drove a long way to get there. Her wife came with her. Her surgeon was Dr. Raul Valladares. Now, here's what we know about Dr. Valladares, the real paper trail version. He has a Florida medical license. Found his license number, but I won't say it here. According to the Florida Department of Health, his license is clear and active. He has no public discipline on file. He went to the University of Miami. Then he went to Howard University Medical School. He's been a doctor for about 29 years. He's board certified. But pay attention here because this is the thing a lot of people get wrong. Vixen's website calls all of its doctors board certified surgeons. And that's true, but there's different boards, right? So Dr. Valladares is board certified by the American Board of Surgery. That's the board for general surgery. He is not certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery, which is the only board recognized for plastic surgery by the American Board of Medical Specialties. Now, just make it clear, that doesn't mean he can't legally do liposuction. In Florida, a licensed doctor of any kind can legally do cosmetic procedures, but it does mean his main training is not in plastic surgery. It's in general surgery and bariatric surgery, which is weight loss surgery. One more detail from the state's records. Dr. Valladares has chosen not to carry medical malpractice insurance. Florida lets doctors do this if they agree to pay out of pocket up to a state set amount. It's legal. It's also a choice that some patient advocates find very concerning when something goes wrong. So that's the doctor. He has an active license, general surgery board, no malpractice insurance, and a pretty long career. So let's get back to Miosha. Miosha says the first sign that something was off came during the pre-surgery consultation. She says it lasted close to 2 hours. That's unusually long. She says Dr. Valladares shared personal things about his family, about his hobbies. She says it felt like he was trying very hard to make her feel comfortable with him, being real friendly, being too close, almost too close. At the time, she just went with it. She figured he was just being warm, being nice. Nah, that doctor was scheming on them draws as soon as he saw her, I think. That's why he was talking so damn much. He thought he was having a Love Jones connection to something, allegedly. Shoot, I'm surprised he didn't hold a consultation over dinner and drinks. Like, whose mans is this? Like, these doctors really be on some weirdo stuff. This actually reminds me of something that happened to me. Sorry, I'm about to go off topic here a little bit, but I remember back when I was in my 20s, I went and I got a checkup, right? What made me set that up was because I got hit in the, we'll say in the chicken McNuggets, right? I got hit down there. So I go through a regular checkup and this nurse says to me, female nurse says to me, do you have any questions? Anything else you need to discuss? And I say, yeah, I got pain in the McNuggets, in one of them. She tells me to, pull my pants down, show her, whatever. I guess she knows she's gonna do an inspection. So I unzip, pull my pants down. But why does she drop to her knees? Not squatting or like just bending over. Like she literally dropped down to her knees and was squeezing and twisting and pulling on me and stuff. This lady could have lost an eye at this point. Like, it was crazy. I always thought that was weird. So if I have any nurses or any doctors, anybody listening to me, please tell me this. If someone were to come in with an issue saying they got some pain down there, do you guys get on your knees? I know y'all don't get on your knees for that type of inspection, do you? Like eye to eye? Like I could feel her breathing. And you would wear gloves too, right? Anyway, and that's a true story too, by the way. Sorry for that detour, but let's get back to the story. She also says he asked her to remove the underwear she was wearing under her surgical gown. Now remember, the surgery she signed up for was on her belly and her waist. There was no surgical reason for what is between her legs to be involved. She says he started marking lines on her buttocks for incisions she had specifically said no to in earlier appointments.
So I'm talking to him. We go into his office. He tells me to get undressed. So I oblige. I put on the little blue, it's like paper, but it's like, what are they called? The hospital gowns. But it was a short paper made hospital gown. I put that on. I go into his office, and like I said, I was there for lipo 360 and the breast lift. So I had off my bra because I knew he had to examine my for the breast lift, but I left on my underwear. I wasn't having a BBL. I was having lipo 360 and in the breast lift. When I got into his office, he noticed I still had on my underwear. He said, those have to come off. I said, excuse me? He said, take off your underwear. And I looked at the nurse behind me. Like, I was just looking, I don't know. It's like fight or flight. And so I looked back at her like, I don't know what to do, like to see if it was okay. And she looked down at the floor like this. She immediately looked down at the floor. She avoided eye contact with me. So I was just like, I'm not having a BBL. And he was like, well, I still need you to take off your underwear. And so I immediately started crying. I started crying and I started shaking, and I'm standing there like this, and I go to remove my underwear, and he was like, wait, he goes like this. He says, wait, you're making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. First red flag, just his choice of words. He was like, you're making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. And I was like, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm married. You get what I'm saying? I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want to expose my vagina to you you're a grown man. Like, I don't want to expose my vagina to you if I don't have to. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you can leave him on, but roll him down. And this is what he made me do, guys. I'm going to stand up to show you guys. So just imagine me. I'm standing in front of this guy. I don't have this on. I don't have on the top. I'm just going to tuck it under my bra. He made me, I'm not going to expose myself to the camera, but he made me pull my underwear down to here. So right before, if I was to open my legs, you guys will see my flower. He made me pull my underwear down to here to show him, like, I guess my hips. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. Having me expose the top half of my vagina, it was completely unnecessary. It did not make sense. So he made me pull down my underwear, and he marked my stomach, and he was looking at my stomach and telling me like how the lipo was going to go and where he was going to take the fat and stuff from. So that happened, and we just talked, and he just made sure he cleared me for the liposuction. When coming to the breast lift, he kept trying to encouraged me to get implants. I told him I didn't want any implants, and then he started explaining all the medical and like, I guess, like, surgical terminology about getting implants, and we just decided to not move forward with the breast lift because we was like, okay, we're just going to do the lipo 360, and if I decide to get my breast done again after how this surgery goes, I'll come back and do the breast lift, implants, whatever. That was the night before. And he just really made me uncomfortable. And what I noticed, what I took away from that night, is not only how pushy he was and the fact that he made me expose my vagina to him, but also when he went into his phone to take pictures of my body, the before pictures, it was nothing but naked photos of previous women. Nothing but, and I was like, why save these? But he had nothing but a lot of naked photos of previous women that he, I guess, did surgery on.
Miosha didn't make a scene. She didn't run. She trusted the bright, clean clinic. And then they put her under. The next thing Moesha remembers is being pulled and tugged. She says she was not fully awake. She says staff were yanking at the straps of her compression garment. She says she was thrown into a wheelchair and rolled out of the building, just like real hastily. Her wife was waiting outside. Vixen, according to her account, would not let her wife wait inside, which is crazy weird. Now, this is a world I don't know a lot about, but I would assume any other facility performing surgery would allow at least one person to wait in the waiting room for the patient, right? Or am I tripping? Let me know in the comment section. But Miosha was in pain, which is to be expected, right? But this pain was all wrong. She had just had her stomach and her sides operated on, so the pain should have been in her stomach and her sides, right? But it wasn't. It was in her lower region, her pelvic region, and it was also in her throat. It was bad. It was bad pain. It was like burning, like someone had hit her with a bat from the inside. She says she felt like she had been pushed off the top of a building. Now, anyone who's had surgery knows when they put a breathing tube in you, your throat can feel sore for a day or two, and that's completely normal. But this wasn't normal sore. This was wrong sore. This was, I'm about to file a damn lawsuit sore. And the pelvic pain was not explainable by what she had agreed to. And now when I'm saying pelvic, I'm trying to avoid some certain words here. You know what I'm trying to say, down in there. There's some pain inside her. 4 hours after she came out of anesthesia, she did something most patients do not think to do. She went to the hospital. She went to Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. Jackson Memorial is the big public hospital. It has a unit called the Roxy Bolton Grapes Center. Of course, grapes is a code word for, minus the G. It's one of the most respected forensic units in the state for these kinds of exams. A nurse did what they called a forensic exam. You may know it as a grapes kit. It collects evidence from a person's body after a possible SA. According to Miosha's account, the kit came back positive. She says biological evidence, the kind of DNA that comes from men, evidence that should never be inside her body, was found inside her body. The clinic had never told her wife or her or anyone that anything was wrong.
And I was like, I need to go to the hospital. That's I just remember saying hospital. I think I was trying to say I need to go to the hospital, and I just said hospital. She didn't ask any questions. She grabbed my robe. She put my robe on me over the bloody faja, and she helped me get to the car, and she was taking me to Jackson Memorial Hospital. And I also put that pictures of that in there so you guys can see, like, the admin date and the checkout date on the Roxy Bolton Rape Center paperwork. I put pictures of that in there, and I put Jackson Memorial Hospital pictures in there where you guys can see my first and my last name, when I was admitted and when Roxy Bolton signed off on the rape kit. But we get to the so she immediately goes to take me to the hospital, and as you guys can see in the video, like 2 videos prior to this, you guys seen my uvula, how it was swollen and just hanging down. So the trauma to my throat was so bad that it partially detached my uvula. And I think what hurts the most is that not only was it supposed to be a tube in my mouth to keep me breathing during surgery, you sick bitches removed the tube from my mouth, assaulted me. I could have died. I could have died. I'm somebody's mom. I'm somebody's friend. I'm somebody's daughter. Like, I have a life. I have a family. And you climbed on top of me and insulted me as if I was trash. You climbed up top of me and did your business as if I was a toilet. I could have died. And nobody cares. And you did this. And you went about your life and your day as if you just didn't do this to an actual human. I am a human. I am a human. I would never think about doing no like that to anybody. And the women who stood back and let that happen to me, you're sick.
The throat damage was the other part. Doctors at the hospital found that her uvula, that little fleshy piece at the back of your throat, that little hangy thing, was torn, partially detached. The hole inside of her throat was so swollen, she says her airway was the width of a shoelace. Now, why was her throat damaged so badly? What the hell were they doing to her? It sounds to me like someone climbed up on her chest and put something down her throat. For all we know, the whole staff could have been taking turns, someone at the pelvic region, someone in her face, all while she's passed out. Now, again, I'm just throwing out some ideas here. Allegedly, sprinkle some of that allegedly on all this shit, because I'm not trying to accuse nobody, but you really don't know. I've heard stories about doctors doing foul stuff before, so I put nothing past any of these doctors. Less than 72 hours after her original procedure, the one she paid for, the one she chose, she was back on an operating table. This time getting her own uvula removed because the damage was too bad to repair. She lost a body part from a surgery that was never supposed to come anywhere near her face. Think about that. So at this point of this story, what do most of us think is going to happen? We probably think police, detective, arrest, a trial, and then you're on my channel and I'm talking crap about the doctor, right? That's what you think is going to happen, right? But that's not how Miosha says it went. She says she reported what happened. She says the Miami Police Department's Special Victims Unit took the case. She says detectives told her something very specific. They told her, don't tell your surgeon you reported this. They said he might leave the country if he finds out. So they asked her to wait. So she waited. She also says they told her not to hire a lawyer. They told her a lawyer would, quote, get in the way of the investigation. Now, see, that sounds fishy right there, right? What are these cops on? What are they about? But she did that too. She listened. She trusted them. She didn't hire a lawyer. According to her account, the police then turned around within days. She says within 3 days, and told the surgeon themselves the very thing they had told her not to do. She says she waited for 7 months. She recorded calls. She kept emails. She kept texts. She built a paper trail because she knew how this kind of story can get pushed under a rug. Then she says the Miami Police Department closed the case. Closed with, by her account, a positive forensic kit sitting in evidence. Reporters from the Mary Sue reached out to the Miami Police Department. They reached out to Vixen Plastic Surgery. They reached out to Dr. Valladres. As of the publication of that article on May 3rd, 2026, none of them had answered. But let's be clear about what is and what's not on the record. What we can confirm is that she went to Vixen on September 25th of 2025. Dr. Valladres' Florida medical license is active. Vixen Plastic Surgery is a registered surgical center with the state. She launched a GoFundMe, and by April 27th of 2026, she said the GoFundMe goal had been met, and she said she had secured a lawyer. What I cannot confirm right now is the details of any police file. We can't confirm what was in the forensic kit. But when it comes to SA and these doctors, we know they sometimes don't really look into them. There's police departments all over this country, tons of police departments that have these gRape kits lying around in evidence waiting to be processed, and they just never get processed, right? We know they don't take this stuff serious. People cite things like funding, and that's why it doesn't get taken care of. Either way, we know this stuff is not a priority. But there's one more thing we cannot confirm, but I actually think it's true. She says she is not the first victim of Vixen Plastic Surgery. Listen to her closely.
Please tell me your story. Like, as many people come forward, hopefully we can, get justice for not only myself, but the girls who came before me, and any girl that might come after me, because the fact that you were bold enough to climb on top of me and not use protection while I was under anesthesia. I'm sorry. The fact that you were bold enough to climb on top of me and not use protection, so much to the fact that they found semen in my cervix. And I had to have my uvula removed due to the trauma that happened to my throat. That the doctor said that my airway was so inflamed that it was the size of a shoelace. The fact that you were bold enough to do that to me while I was unconscious lets me know that I'm not the first female that this has happened to, and I won't be the last. So,
end quote. This is a serious claim. We have not been able to find another named accuser in mainstream news as of this recording. On TikTok, in the comments and reposts of her videos, some women have written that they have had odd things happen to them at Vixen, being shaved in places they had not agreed to, waking up with bruises in unexpected spots. None of those women have come forward with their full names. None of those claims have been verified, but it happens. Matter of fact, I remember hearing about a case a couple of years ago about that doctor, or was it a dentist? I think it was a doctor. I believe he was performing surgery on a patient, or he was prepping the patient for surgery, and they had like that little divider. And I remember that in the article it said he went behind the little curtain and he beat his joint on her face, basically. Back to work, I guess. It's just nasty, disgusting stuff. Just some straight evilness. Like, who does that to somebody? And I want to say, like, there's other people in the room though too, but I can't remember exactly. If you guys know the details, leave me in the comment section. But that's just foul. That's nasty. The Miami plastic surgery world has its own dark history. There is a peer-reviewed medical study that found 92% of Brazilian butt lift deaths in South Florida happened at the kind of high-volume, low-price clinics that Miami's famous for. In 2024, NBC News covered the death of a Tennessee mother named Erica Russell at a different Miami clinic. The doctor in that case, John Sampson, was permanently restricted by the state from doing certain procedures. In other words, the system has been warned over and over and over again, but they're making too much money to care. So where does it stand tonight? Dr. Eric Raul Valladares is still licensed in the state of Florida. He's still listed on a second clinic's website, Saluna MD in Coral Gables. As of this recording, there is no public discipline on his Florida medical license. He has not been charged with any crime. Vixen Plastic Surgery is still open. Floyd Mayweather is still, as far as we know, a part owner of the building. Miosha Watts has her lawyer. She's waiting for her investigation file. She's asking other women quietly, publicly, every day on TikTok to please come forward. Now, if you know something, if you went to Vixen and something felt off, if you have the same story or anything close to it, you know who you need to call. And it ain't me. Don't call me. Call the Florida Department of Health complaint line. Call a real lawyer. Call the FBI's tip line for civil rights abuses by medical providers. Now, this is a crazy one. I'll have to keep track of this one to see if any charges are actually brought to that doctor. I don't think nothing's gonna happen to him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. That's the story for today. If you guys like it, share, hit the like button, and if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into some member shoutouts. Shout out to DK the God, Franklin Joan, Laura Notek, Miss VWAG 2020, Lessa Combs 3832, Revealing Truth Now by Capricorn, Huff Mommy, Keep That Same Energy 24, Michelle Ramsey 752. Alright guys, be good, be safe, peace.